All right, so in this video, I'm going to go over how to complete your career report assignments, which is a project you will be working on throughout the quarter. For this assignment, you will first do 4 career report worksheets. The goal of this project is for you to kind of get to know what are some possible career paths that you could take if you were to get a degree in psychology. And one of the things I first want you to understand is that I am not necessarily looking for career paths that are very specific to psychology, because if you get a degree in psychology, it can actually open up a whole lot of career paths. Because if you think about it, pretty much almost any job you can think of is going to require that you're interacting with other people, and having some background in psychology could potentially be beneficial towards that. So employers and jobs that you might not even associate with psychology might be more likely to hire you if you have like a bachelor's or an associate's in psychology. So this could include things like human resources, sales, even things like police officers and firefighters are other career kind of paths that students have looked into in the past. So like I said, there's 4 career reports. I want you to do 3 of those reports at different education levels. So for example, you'll do one of your career reports about what you could, a career you could pursue with an associate's degree in psychology. You'll do one for a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then you'll do one for a graduate level degree. So that could be either a master's or a PhD, a doctorate in psychology. And then your 4th career report is optional. You can basically do a duplicate of any of those 3 that I just mentioned. You do need to make sure you're doing a different career for each of the 4 career reports, though. Then at the end of the quarter, you will also write a short paper where you will kind of compare and contrast those 4 careers that you talked about in your career report worksheets. And then you'll go into a little bit more detail about one of the careers. So you'll talk a little bit more about, kind of what it would be like to work that job on a day-to-day basis, and also talk a little bit about how learning the content in this course would help you in that career. So that's kind of an overview, basic gist of what the assignment is about. So now let's jump into Canvas, and I will show you how to access all the resources that you're going to need, how to submit the assignments, etc. Okay, so if we go into Canvas, the first place that you're going to find information is up at the course resources. There's a career report worksheet. That's the one that you will use for all 4 of the career reports. And then this link to some resources that will help you fill out that worksheet. These career report worksheets will be due basically every 2 weeks throughout the quarter. So the first one is due at the end of week 2 on April 14th. And then, you can look in the calendar for the due dates of the rest of them. So we can just peek in there real quickly. So career report 1 is due on the 14th. Career report 2 is due on the 28th. And then the 3rd and the 4th one will be due in May. So May 12th and May 26th. And then your final paper will be due the last week of class, like that Friday before finals week starts. So let me jump back to our course. Let me make sure I'm in the right one here. Okay, so again, this worksheet that's listed under course resources, you will use that for all 4 of those career report assignments that I just told you the deadlines for. So to access this worksheet, you're just going to click here, open it up. Now, I have this saved as a Google Doc. You cannot right now edit this yourself. You do not have permission to edit this document, because if you did, that would be editing it for the whole class. So what you need to do to complete this assignment is go up to Final, Download, and then download this as a Word document. So I talked about this in my sort of course overview video, but you need to make sure you have Microsoft Word installed on your computer, which you can access for free as an LCC student. And this is another reason you need that, is for these career report assignments. So go to download, click on Microsoft Word, and then you will have this document available that you now can edit. So just like with a lot of Word documents, you might have to click this Enable Editing up at the top yellow. And then once you do that, you should be able to now, sorry, it jumped to my other screen. You should now be able to go in and edit this document to be able to answer the questions. So step number 1 is just choosing a job. Again, remember, for one of the reports, it needs to be at the associate's level, one at the bachelor's level, one at the graduate level, and then that 4th one is a bonus where you can select either. For all of these questions, I have some resources available on Canvas that will help you find information for these questions. So I have the actual worksheet over here on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side of my screen, we're going to jump back over to Canvas. And if you click on this Career Report Resources link, then that takes you to a page that has a bunch of resources you can use. So first of all, if you're just trying to figure out a job and you can't think of one yourself, then there's a few links up here at the top of Canvas, this Canvas resource, that will help you with that question. I also encourage you, if you have a career path that you're thinking of that you don't think has anything to do with psychology, I would say spend a little bit of time Googling and just see if having a degree in psychology could actually be beneficial to you towards that career path. And that could easily be one of your career report worksheets, one of the 4 that you're doing. But if you have no idea, you don't know where to get started, you can click on either of these 3. There's this first link, comes from Indeed, talks about some jobs that you can get with an associate's degree in psychology. There's also an APA resource that talks about careers at multiple levels. And then there's also a portion of your textbook that talks a little bit about career paths in psychology. So that will help you with the first and maybe even like some of these other questions. Then a lot of these questions are going to be asking you things like the employment outlook. So is this field growing or contracting, average salary, etc. Some of that information you'll be able to find either on this Occupational Outlook Handbook or the ONET online. Those are basically kind of the same resource, they're just formatted a little bit differently. So that will give you more detailed information like that about salary and those things. The last question on the career report worksheet always asks you to list 3 job postings of that type. So let's say you're going to pursue being a police officer. That's what you've chosen for your job. Then you want to go and find actually 3 job postings of a police officer. And for this 10th one, I would say make it as useful to you as possible. If you're looking at a career you actually might want to pursue, and you, for example, really want to stay in Longview, or maybe you want to stay in Washington, then limit your search to that area. But on the other hand, you also can open up your search to the entire US, even to worldwide if you really want to, if you think that having that information will be useful to you. But the point is you need to have at least 3 job postings. When you're answering question 10, you can basically just go, I have Indeed and Monster Jobs listed as some examples. So you can go to those websites, look for a job posting, and then you're basically just going to copy and paste the link to that job posting as your answer for number 10. So you'll have 3 links under number 10 as your answer. So I have these resources listed over here that you can use to help you answer these questions. You're also welcome to use other websites and resources. You don't have to stick to just these. These will just help you get started. If you do use any other resources, please cite them. For this worksheet, I'm not super particular about the formatting of those citations. You could just copy and paste the link of whatever source you're using next to the answer to your question. But if you use anything outside of these resources, make sure you cite those, just so I can kind of get an idea of where you're getting information from. So that's how you'll complete the worksheet. Once you've answered all the questions, just like with other assignments in this class, make sure that you save it. Make sure you give it a somewhat unique name so that when you go to upload it, you're uploading the correct file. And then you will submit these throughout the quarter, as they come due every 2 weeks or so. So for example, for Career Report 1 that's due the end of week 2, you'll scroll down to here to Career Report 1. You'll go find that worksheet that you completed for your first one. Click on Start Assignment, upload the file, go find your file with the correct name, and then make sure you submit the assignment. And you'll need to do that 4 times throughout the quarter. Basically every 2 weeks is when those will be due. Then at the end of the quarter, the last assignment that you will have for this project is the Career Report paper. So that's due June 9th. That's the Friday before finals week. Let me actually do this right now while I'm recording so I don't forget. So I'm going to make this available to you But so for the paper, like I said, what you need to do is to basically compare and contrast those 4 jobs that you talked about in the worksheets. You're going to start in your introduction, just kind of talk in general about what career opportunities are available at different levels. Just kind of spoiler alert, what you're going to find is that if you want a job that's actually in psychology, you pretty much have to have a graduate level degree. So if you want to pursue something like counseling, therapy, if you want to be in academics, like doing the job I'm doing, pretty much for all of those, you really need to have a graduate level degree. So that's kind of how you would start, I would say, your paper. But then you could kind of talk about how even if you have a lower level degree, an associate's or a bachelor's, that's going to open lots of doors for you in all these different directions. Then talk just very briefly about the 4 careers that you talked about in your worksheets. Then of the 4 that you reported, I want you to basically pick the one that you find most interesting or most worthwhile to pursue. Even if you think you wouldn't pursue any of the 4, you could also think of it as like, if you have a friend or someone majoring in psychology, they're looking for a job, which of the 4 would you recommend to them? Then talk a little bit about what you envision kind of life to be like for someone who pursues that career. What sort of financial stability, work-life balance, what would their day-to-day job actually look like? And then in the paper, by talking a little bit about how the information that you've learned in class, remember this will be due at the end of quarter. So at this point, we would have gone through pretty much all the content in the course. So you will talk about how that content would actually help you in your role in the job that you've chosen. The paper, I'm expecting it to be around 3 to 5 pages. This is not a hard requirement. This is a guideline. So everybody writes a little bit differently. Some people are more concise. They can, answer all these questions in a very concise manner. Other people are maybe a little more verbose, and it takes a little bit more to get their thoughts out. So that's really just a guideline. And then make sure you're also following all these formatting instructions that I have listed here. And then just like with all the other assignments, basically for this one, you're going to open a blank Word document, type out your response to these questions, make sure it's roughly 3 to 5 pages, and then submit it just like you would any other assignment in class. So that is the career report project. Again, you have the worksheets that are due roughly every 2 weeks, the final paper that's due at the end of the quarter. You have resources here to help you with all of those worksheets. If you have any questions about any of that, just like with everything else in the course, please reach out to me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.